Star Wars Battlefront 2 is probably one of my favorite Star Wars video games of all time. While I do love the classic, I still think that the 2017 version is pretty great as well. And the Battlefront 2 community is one of the best video gaming communities in the world. Now that we are coming up to 4 years after its release, it still has over 2 million active users still playing the game to this day. It is one of the best examples of a game that didn't start off the best, but now has vastly improved and has really become a solid video game staple in the Star Wars video game genre. And in this video, we are going to be talking about why coming back to Star Wars Battlefront 2 and jumping into some online multiplayer action is well worth it in the year 2021. But before we get started, like always, be sure to like the video and subscribe for more Star Wars content. Okay, so first things first, we all know that Battlefront 2 didn't really start off the best when it released in 2017. Its release was mired in controversy from being basically an incomplete game. I mean, it was more like a beta version of the game compared to what we have now. From the loot boxes, which was basically pay to win, to even being accused of teaching children how to gamble, and that caused it to be banned in some European countries. Battlefront 2 taught EA a very valuable lesson. Never put profit ahead of making a complete and quality video game, especially when dealing with Star Wars. However, unfortunately for EA, it seems that that lesson did not take as fast as they needed it to, as Lucasfilm Games has officially been created, and they are now partnering with several other companies who are going to be making Star Wars video games moving forward. But that is a whole different thing for another video. But despite its rough start, Battlefront 2 eventually became a solid Star Wars game, and really fun to play. Over the course of its nearly 3-year live run, they added a ton of new content. New maps, new heroes, and a lot of it was in the Clone Wars era. They added the Chosen One himself, Anakin Skywalker, alongside Obi-Wan Kenobi. They added villains like General Grievous and Count Dooku. They added a ton of new skins for all the soldier classes, including distinctive clone trooper units that you could suit up with and take into the battle with you. They added a classic game mode that we saw in the original Battlefronts, which is called Capitol Supremacy. Basically an all-out brawl where forces on the ground try to capture command posts, just like in the good old days. And then, after you capture command posts, you push forward and you try to destroy the enemy's capital ship. Honestly, Supremacy is super fun. I love that game mode, and the rounds can technically last for an infinite amount of time, depending on how good or bad your team is. Now, for me personally, the longest run I had was over 3 hours long, just going back and forth between those two teams. However, if a 3-hour game of 40 online players supported by AI just going at it back and forth doesn't sound appealing, then there are other options out there. There are other game modes. One of the main ones that I play if I don't really want to get involved in a really big multiplayer skirmish is called co-op mode. Basically, you and a squad, whether it be a random squad or a squad of friends, can play in an online match against enemy AI. It is a great way to hone your skills or get back into the game without getting absolutely owned in one of those larger multiplayer modes at first. It's fast-paced, it's fun, you're still online so you still get to level up and gear up your characters, and you're also not dying every 5 seconds because you're playing against AI. In my opinion, I think co-op mode is the best game mode in Battlefront because it allows those players who don't really want the pressure of playing online to still have a fun experience with their friends. Not to mention that there's the classic Heroes vs. Villains game mode, which allows you to play as your favorite characters and fight for either the light or the dark side. Now, one of the biggest complaints in the past was that the player count was down, and this was causing the lobbies to take forever to fill up. I mean, you would be in a lobby with like 3 people for 20 minutes if you waited long enough. However, that is not the case anymore. I am always getting into lobbies, whether I'm looking to play Galactic Assault, Co-op, Supremacy, and even game modes like Strike or Extraction. I'm constantly getting full lobbies and full games. And the reason is because we have so many new players. 19 million players have joined Battlefront 2 in the past year alone. So there are a ton of new and existing players that are coming together and just really enjoying this game. Not to mention also that the community of Battlefront 2 fans have also sunk thousands of hours, literally, into making and developing mods for this already awesome game, and they are improving it even more. We were all disappointed when we found out that Battlefront 2 was not going to be receiving continuing support and live updates. We were still wanting more content, more characters. We wanted more heroes and villains and maps and game modes and everything, and when we found out that we weren't going to get those things, it was kind of disappointing. However, thanks to a wonderful modding community, we now have the option to receive those continuing updates. We now have mods that allow us to play as characters like Ahsoka and Ventress. We can now download a ton of new skins and content during the Clone Wars era, during the Rebellion era, or the Resistance era even, during the Sequel Trilogy. Modders have even added new maps like Coruscant and Umbara to the game, making it feel even more like the Clone Wars that we know and love. There is even a rumored Galactic Conquest mod in development. Obviously, this is going to be a huge undertaking, but if we can get Galactic Conquest in Battlefront 2, I mean, that would be amazing. That was my favorite game mode in the classic Battlefront. There is just so much to do in the base game, and now with all these players coming back and being active, and with the modding community doing its part, we are really seeing how far Battlefront 2 can go in becoming one of, if not the greatest Star Wars game ever. So now is the perfect time to get back into Battlefront 2 and really see everything that this game has to offer. Anyway, that is it for today's video. If you guys liked what you saw today, be sure to like the video and subscribe for more Star Wars content. Also, let me know in the comments down below, do you guys want to get back into Battlefront 2? Do you think the game is just completely dead? What are you thinking? And remember to forever be a Star Wars fan.